Have you ever found yourself in a rut? You just keep doing the same things over and over, and you're like, why do I keep doing this? I believe that you create your habits, and then your habits create you. And I want to talk to you today about 9 habits that will keep people poor in 2025. And if you break these habits or create the opposite of these habits, no telling what you might be able to do. So I'm going to give you a definition of habit. I'm not just going to start out talking about it. Got 9 habits. We have 3 focus habits. We have 3 financial habits, and we have 3 fantasy habits that we're going to talk about today that'll keep you poor if you maintain them. All right, here we go. First of all, what is a habit? A habit is a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up, right? So it's a tendency, it's a practice, something you do repetitively, and it's hard to give up. Good habits, we don't want to give up, but bad habits, whew, man, are they hard to kick, Benjamin Franklin said. That's your net worth to the world. Subtract your bad habits from your good ones. That's your net worth to the world. I'm like, Benjamin Franklin was the dude. Okay, so let's talk about focusing habits. Focus habit number 1 that'll keep you poor in 2025. Focusing on lack more than you focus on abundance. Now, I'm going to tell you something I've learned, and hopefully you will learn this in 2025 if you haven't learned it yet. Abundance is not the absence of lack, and lack is not the absence of abundance. Abundance is always present in the presence of lack, and lack is always present in the presence of abundance. They're both always there. Now, I would go so far as to say that this is one of the habits that's hardest to break and one of the most detrimental habits to all of mankind. In fact, I would submit to you that if you are a responsible adult living in a relatively free country, not even as free as America, like even less free, then I would submit to you that it's virtually impossible for lack to perpetually exist in your experience unless it first perpetually exists in your expectation. In fact, I'm going to make a statement here. The first temptation in the history of the world was the temptation to focus on lack. Now, if that's true, let me ask you a question. How often do you find yourself focused on what's missing? How often do you find yourself focused on what's missing in your life? How often do you find yourself focused on what's missing in the life of your spouse? How often do you find yourself focused on what's missing in the life of your coworkers? How often do you find yourself focused on what's missing in the life of your employer? How often do you find yourself focusing on what's missing in the lives of your friends? How often do you find yourself focused on what's missing more than what's there? 50% of the time? 70% of the time? 80% of the time? 20% of the time? Don't say none of the time, because if you lie about that, you'll lie about anything. How often do you find yourself focused on what's missing? Because